Hello and welcome to another episode of Builders, the podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of building great tech products through the perspectives of the people who build them. I'm your host, Lee, and in today's episode, we're thrilled to welcome Tarek Khalil, the CEO and co-founder of Rasayel. Tarek has been at the helm of Rasayel since February 2022, driving its mission to redefine customer engagement over WhatsApp for businesses seeking to elevate their sales and support strategies. His entrepreneurial spirit was previously showcased through co-founding Octopods, where he worked on integrating live chat tools with various communication channels to optimize customer interactions. Before embarking on his entrepreneurial ventures, Tarek worked as a senior software engineer at various companies, including Intercom. We're going to dive into finding out what makes his entrepreneurial spirit tick. Tarek, a warm welcome to Builders. Lovely to have you on the show. How's it going?
Good day. I was just, wondering why is it so sunny here in Ireland today? So it's a good change of weather. I'm doing well.
Same here. Same here in Stockholm. I think maybe even more a rare occurrence in Dublin, but yeah, same here. The weather's turned finally, thank God.
Hopefully that's, spring is coming. Thanks a lot for having me, Lee, and really excited about this.
Lovely to have you on the show, as I said. So let's get started. Tarek, you've worked as a software engineer, as I said, and you've moved your way up to then creating the company Octopods, and then now the current company Rasayel. Tell us a bit about your career journey, how it led you to building your own company or your companies. Tell us a bit about the journey from the very early days.
Sure. So I'm Egyptian. I'm from Egypt, and I basically went with my family to Oman when I was 16, 17 years old. From that time, I basically wanted to I know what I wanted to do in terms of computer science and focusing on that, but it wasn't very clear to me where I actually want to go for my college. Stayed 2 years in Oman, Sultanate of Oman, and then I basically applied for my papers to Malaysia to continue studying there, and told my dad, hey, I got accepted. So I moved to Malaysia. Studied there, worked there for a few years. So stayed there about 5 years. Then
when was this? What years are we talking?
This is a good 2008 till 2010. Okay. These are the 2 years of studies, and then I worked 3 years. And after that, I basically went back to Oman to work for 1 year. And then I moved to Dubai to work for 2 years, and then all the way from Dubai to Ireland at the very end to join Intercom. So just got in to see really kind of different cultures and different work environments, different people, and ending up in Europe, almost like 3 continents. So it was really good to experience all of that.
Very, very well traveled. A lot of experience. What were you doing in these different companies at these different jobs? What was your role?
Right. I was always a software engineer. Before the days of college, I actually got to learn programming before high school, and from there, I got it more into it. So all of these different jobs, I was a software engineer. The big shift, or as I usually call it to myself, jump. We can talk more about that later. The jump happened between leaving Intercom and studying Octopods. But I was always a software engineer. Different kinds of companies, really very, very different kind of software. So in my first company, I worked on these multi-touch tables and walls. We built software like a big iPad, so software for that. Then I built civil engineering software, then web, all kinds of web apps. And then like real-time bidding servers and, very different kinds of software, ending with Intercom, which was very product focused. So,
Right. Cool. And what were you working with? What's your stack?
Right.
What were you programming in?
So I guess because the different different types of software require different kinds of stacks, as you know.
Right.
So I started very much with low-level C and C++, working on drivers, and then moving on after that with C# and .NET, and then moving after that, getting into web, also .NET, but also JavaScript and the whole kind of long tail of tools and languages you use. And then finally, since the days of Intercom, I focused mainly on Ruby and Rails because that's what they also used,
Okay.
and has been a while in that. Yeah.
Great. And I mean, Intercom is probably quite a familiar company and product for a lot of the listeners, a lot of people around the world. I've used it myself as well. You moved to Dublin then to work for Intercom from Dubai. Quite a difference in countries and cultures as well. I can imagine, and I can imagine as well that this the product Intercom as a product, although slightly different to Rasayel today, I guess it kind of inspired and kind of laid some of the foundations for the companies that you've built since then. And we can talk a little bit more about the similarities later. But tell us a little bit about your experience at Intercom and the those kind of foundational years, we could say.
Yeah, When I joined Intercom, well, first it was a very different environment for me, both the culture and the way they work and the way they think, and I really wanted to kind of adapt. And it took me a few months to adapt and to just get into how those folks think and work and build product and what actually do they care about in terms of principles and so on. So the hard part wasn't the engineering part at all. At first, it was adapting. And from I joined what's called email deliverability team. So Intercom sends a lot of emails, many billions of emails, and how do we make sure that the email gets into the inbox of the customer? Is a very generally very big challenge. And then I moved to what's called at that time what was called the platform team. So that team was responsible for the APIs, the webhooks, the app store, the everything that has integrations, everything that has to do with the developer experience and actually building on top of Intercom, which was segue to Octopods. It was really useful for me when I went out of Intercom because Octopods was built entirely over that, but later on
Right.
that. Yeah.
And Octopods was this live chat integration, right? Which is obviously one of the main functions or functionality that Intercom offers as well. So how did you go about starting Octopods?
Right.
Obviously, drew a lot of inspiration from Intercom then, and what became of Octopods?
Right. So Octopods, well, Intercom is really at that time. We're talking about 6 years, so there's lots of happened within that time. So at that time, Intercom was really good in live chat and email. We can do all kinds of business to customer communication over these channels. They really excel in these two channels. But the businesses started to see that there are other ways to talk to the customers. A Facebook page, a Twitter DM, all the different types. You have Instagram, you have so many other channels. You have, VK in Russia, you have Line, you have WeChat, and different kinds of businesses and different kinds of verticals basically tend to attract different types of customers, and their behaviors translate with them when they talk to the business. If I'm in Eastern Europe today, I probably would be using Viber, and I probably would want to talk to a business over Viber. So Octopods didn't really touch the base Intercom functionality. It was built on top of Intercom. So to make Intercom as good as Intercom is with live chat and email, to power it up and make it really good with the other channels as well. So we almost had no interface. It was very much in the background, connecting all of these different channels and still using the same Intercom interface. So it was a very much, an engine. Yeah.
But then kind of hitting the user in whatever app relevant, depending on most popular apps in different countries, of course.
Right.
And then that also kind of evolved in some way to Rasayel, right? Because there's a lot of similarities with the company Rasayel. And just to kind of talk a little bit about what Rasayel is this essentially is a WhatsApp communication automation platform, right, for sales and support teams. How exactly does Rasayel work? Tell us more about it. How, and then we'll get on to kind of how it was built.
Sure. One small thing before getting into this, the way Octopods started as well was it was Intercom had these show and tells where you every Friday you basically come up and you show what you have worked on and so on. So there
Yeah.
was actually a side project of mine at the time, and you know what? I thought
Hmm.
like, hey, I'll just show this, and it was very big excitement around in the company, but it wasn't. It didn't materialize to be on the roadmap. I'm sorry, I'm taking you a little bit back in the
No, no,
story
no.
to
This is
just give you
fantastic. Tell us.
right.
Yeah, yeah, everything.
Yeah, okay, amazing. So,
Yeah.
what happened is that this was also a really tough period in my career. I was approaching 3 years in Intercom, and
Hmm.
I wasn't really sure. It felt like the trajectory of where I am in the role and the trajectory of the company. The company got bigger, and I feel like my trajectory is much more on a faster pace, and I really want to
Hmm.
do more and I have a lot of energy, etc., etc. But I felt like there is like a plateau of where what I can do, compared to the time I'm in the company, compared to,
Yeah.
the structure and so on. So it led me to do all of these different side projects and coming up to the show and tells and showing all of these things. So it wasn't one,
Hmm.
it wasn't the only one. I did a few other things and some of them got on the roadmap and, it was really exciting, obviously, right? Because I really, really care
Hmm.
about that specific thing.
Yeah.
So it was like December 2018. And I just took a few weeks off, went to Morocco I do some mountaineering. So I went to climb some of the Atlas Mountains there. And
Nice.
I was like just thinking so deeply into what do I actually want to do, right?
Mm.
Should I continue? And I wasn't happy and so on. And
Mm.
that led me to look, you know what? After I got back, I'm going to quit. I really took the decision in a couple of days and I went out. And from that time, like there was like 3-4 months period, I really saw no sun. Also because Ireland has no sun. But I just went heads down
Yeah.
and, coding mode and built Octopods or what would it be Octopods? And I really didn't know
Hmm.
anything. I didn't I didn't even know how I would sell this thing.
Right.
And that's the point where it started. So yeah.
Fantastic. So you basically had this show and tell, saw that there was intrigue or kind of interest in what you were kind of your idea essentially, and that ideation phase, and then had this kind of amazing trip to Morocco and came back, decided to quit and build Octopods. Super, super exciting. And how far did Octopods go then? Because obviously you're running a different, albeit similar um,
Right.
idea, but it's a different company today. What happened to Octopods?
Right. So at that time, it was me basically. How do I sell this thing? So I spoke to the intercom
Mm.
team, the support and sales team. Hey guys, if you've ever encountered a customer wanting to solve this problem, I'm here and I'm on your app store. Help me out. So
Hmm.
things kicked from there, and then when we added WhatsApp, and I intentionally left out WhatsApp as a channel before, but WhatsApp was the big
Okay,
thing at that time that would
right.
cause the kind of spike. And for the first year, I managed to get it
Why,
to
out of
yeah,
interest, why did you leave WhatsApp out if Octopods was kind of
right. Great
supporting all these
question.
different apps,
Mm,
in specific countries and everything? Why not WhatsApp?
right,
Because that seems to be quite, well, maybe it is more so today, but even years ago, it was quite universal in a sense,
right.
right?
WhatsApp did not have an API. Everything
Ah,
was on
okay.
the market was reverse engineered. It wasn't.
Mm.
It basically was like a half baked solution. It wasn't really
Yeah,
working, and I did my attempts to make things work, but they did not
yeah,
have an API. Later, and
got you.
that was a really good timing matter. Later, once
Hmm.
I said like 6-7 months into Octopods, things started to work. They released something. I've got into
Yeah.
a chance to partner with one of the providers of the API,
Hmm.
and things kicked from there. So yeah,
Hmm.
that's the main reason.
Okay. And is Octopods as a company, as a product, still alive today?
Yeah, yeah. For the first 2 years, we it was me, my co-founder. We can talk more about how he joined me, and a third
Hmm.
person. We actually, it was a bootstrap business. It was literally four or five
Right.
hundred euros in the bank to
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
get the sole proprietorship up and running, and we fortunately got it to almost $1 million in ARR, within these 2 years, and it was a really good lifestyle business, of course, and it is still running. Obviously, not with the same kind of growth and whatnot. I'm not really involved in the business at all now, but it's still running. It's not it doesn't want to die, basically. So yeah.
Is your co-founder or the previous co-founder still running it, or?
No, Mo actually joined
Okay.
me, and that's how we kind of started the second one. So Mo,
Yes.
or Mohammed, is basically my co-founder in Octopods. I had to convince him to actually join me. So hopefully he hears that I've approached him 2 or 3 times. Still, he he said yes. He's also my lifelong friend actually from the days of Malaysia. So yeah.
Fantastic. Nice. And you said this kind of when WhatsApp introduced their API,
Right.
that's kind of when things changed. Tell us a little bit more about that. That kind of essentially elevated the product into something else, right?
Right. This is probably the first time where we have very visibly seen the WhatsApp opportunity and really understood, the history of why this thing is a thing now. Why is this channel so successfully, so kind of successful for businesses to customer communication? Like if you go back, I'm not going to take you back long, but if you go back very briefly, in countries and geos in the world like Indonesia, Brazil, India, and different other countries, Latin, Africa, and MENA, and the MENA region, WhatsApp is really part of how people talk to each other. If you go to, I don't know, Indonesia and you land in the airport, like 5-10 minutes in, I am pretty sure, I bet you that you will talk to someone over WhatsApp. That could be a person, a business, whatever it is. So WhatsApp is very deeply rooted in all of these different geos. It triumphs over SMS, phone calls, live chat, email. It just is the channel. That's how people communicate to each other. And so that's where it starts from. It starts from between you and me. I send you a WhatsApp message, but then eventually your assumption is that the business will also talk to me, or I can talk to the business over WhatsApp. So it just really spreads, and it becomes like a fact. And when they really,
and it's a matter of convenience as well, right, for the user. I mean, to go back to kind of intercom, and particularly years ago when we were using it, it necessitates that the user is in on the website or on some app where you can then kind of chat live to whatever support person. But this is convenience. People are on the go. They have WhatsApp or whatever other app on their phone, and you're able to kind of reach those users on the go, right?
Exactly. I don't have to be on the website. I don't have to open my email.
Exactly.
I am where I usually run my communications every day. And then business to customer communication in these countries, and with the API coming in, you had a really good intersection between businesses are desperately looking for a solution to talk to their customers over WhatsApp, to scale that, because you really have the WhatsApp app and you can't really run a team of 10, 15, 50, 100 people, whether it's sales or support, over WhatsApp from a phone app. It won't work. And that's where it really started to hit us. And this is where we've learned so much from the Octopods days.
Fantastic. And you're talking a little bit then about kind of the initial kind of concept of Rasayel, right? Rasayel is, like I said, it's exclusively focused. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's exclusively focused on WhatsApp as a communication channel. And it's an automation platform, Rasayel, basically, for sales and support teams, right? Tell us then a little bit more about exactly how Rasayel works and why exclusively WhatsApp. There are many other communication apps out there specific to regions, like you said, Telegram, for example. Why specifically WhatsApp?
Right. I like when I look at it, we started supporting with Octopods in the Octopods days. We started supporting all of these different channels, but the channel that we have seen that is not only sticky but irreplaceable for businesses was WhatsApp. I cannot actually run my business. I cannot run my business without talking to customers over WhatsApp. So it's not just that I use this as a communication channel. The website is kind of an indirect communication channel. Someone
Right.
clicking on the website and so on. But WhatsApp was, I cannot run my business without it. And so, if you want to run your business on a communication channel, you need the right tooling for it. Humans use tools all since the using the stone and so on. So without the right tool, they can't really do their operations. They can't really do what they need to do to get this business to grow. And so this takes me to the definition of actually Rasayel, what it is. The way I like to think about it is it's basically a toolkit for businesses to succeed over WhatsApp. What actually is the toolkit, right? So you do different operations in a business today. You sell, you support, you retain, you do marketing, and you do different kinds of operations. Uh, you know, talking to your customer, and that happens through WhatsApp. And we
Right.
help with that. We are now focusing a lot more on sales. So how do we help your sales team to attract, qualify, nurture, and close deals over WhatsApp? Whether those deals are like you're selling a shirt, or which is like low transaction, probably not going to talk to a human, or you're selling a house, or you're selling a car, or you're selling something else entirely, or even B2B companies. We have a lot of B2B companies that sell their software over WhatsApp, which is a
Right.
bit strange, right?
So your user base here is a very, very diverse user base, right?
Right. Verticals are
Yeah.
very, it could be anything that's transactional and needs relationship building, or even without the relationship, but needs some sort of communication back and forth between you and the business. And the website is not enough. Then users and customers get to talk to that business over WhatsApp. So many examples. A hospital, for example, that have patients talking to them, and they are not really into calling them or
Yeah.
even emailing them. They pick up the WhatsApp app. Hey, I want to see Dr. X. Sure, we're going to schedule it for you. Some of this is automated, some is not. So yeah,
And what are the main features then of Rasayel?
sure.
What are the kind of main use cases? You've spoken about sales, support, marketing. How do your users typically use Rasayel? If you were to kind of give some good example use cases.
Right. So the components of Rasayel itself as a software, the main and core component would be what we call the inbox. This is where you have a back and forth communication. You see all of your WhatsApp conversations as a team. You click on one of these. Imagine your email inbox, but it's shared across the team, and it's also for WhatsApp. So you see
Right.
all of these different conversations. You collaborate on it, and you talk to your customers. That's one. You'll
All within
have
Rasayel's interface, right?
exactly.
Across.
So that's
Yeah.
one kind of, and you have the mobile app as well. By the way, just to note, this is very different than the WhatsApp Messenger that you use or the WhatsApp
Yeah.
Business app, because WhatsApp have 3 products. This is built entirely over the WhatsApp Business platform, which are the APIs and the webhooks and all of that of WhatsApp,
Got you.
which is really kind of big part of what I'm kind of experienced in using in Intercom, building all of these APIs and webhooks and so on. So it helped massively for us to build that mentality early on. Anyway, so the inbox is one part. The what we call bots is another part. How do you build flows over WhatsApp, conversational flows over WhatsApp? So that's for it. We have other different things like running campaigns over WhatsApp, like having sequences to run over WhatsApp to nurture your leads and deals and so on. And there are many
So
other
essentially,
smaller
marketing
parts.
campaigns and
Right.
automation built in that kind of along that customer's journey. Then you're building these campaigns all within Rasayel based on the WhatsApp
Right.
API, right?
Yeah. And many other different things that you don't see in your normal one-to-one WhatsApp conversation with your friends. The WhatsApp
Yeah.
business platform has like all of these buttons and interactive elements and forms inside
Yes.
of WhatsApp and carousels, and like it's a whole big world inside of that app, which takes me to the they really want to become a platform. They really want to become a super app. So builders like ourselves can actually go out there and seek solutions for all of these businesses. So it's not one thing; it's a toolkit. And there are many tools inside of our interface and inside of our platform. And all of these tools will help you in satisfy a certain job or a certain problem that you seek a solution for as a business talking to your customer.
And WhatsApp obviously being owned by Meta. Rasayel is as far as I saw at least, you're an official Meta business partner. Is that right? That
Right.
must have
Yeah.
been an amazing, a really big milestone for you. Tell us a little bit about how that happened. When did it happen?
Right. It actually happened in the last few weeks. So not so.
Well,
Yeah.
congrats.
Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Definitely been a journey. We needed to kind of prove ourselves and make sure that we have the right customers and we make sure that we have the right volume. And it was kind of a journey since the days of Octopods. It comes easier to other companies than us. For example, if you're Twilio, for example, it will be much easier to be an official partner of Meta. But obviously, as a small company, as a startup, we needed to kind of really work hard into proving ourselves and that we have the right product, we're building the right things, we have the right customers. That puts you in a much better place. So you're able to serve your customers better. You're able to build all of these on top of all of these APIs and so on. So yeah.
And that must be it's a sign of kind of, it's a stamp of approval, social proof for your customers as well. How hard was it for you to get it? You said it was harder for you than bigger companies, of course. But what was the process? How did you have to go about it? Did you just have to apply, or there must have been lots that you had to do?
Yeah, we've actually tried to apply more than once, and recently the process is a lot more defined. It wasn't very defined before, so recently it became a lot more defined. So we understood exactly what we need to do, and luckily we had the requirements at the right time. So we actually there's a kind of a way for you to apply. So there's a place for you to go on and put all of your details and work with Meta closely to be what's called a Meta business partner and a Meta tech partner. There are kind of two tracks, and we are part of these two tracks. A tech partner is more like I have the WhatsApp specialty. I specialize in WhatsApp. A business partner is I'm a general partner of Meta when it comes to us being a provider, right? So they are like two different statuses and tracks, but they work together.
Yeah.
Definitely tough. Definitely have to have the right product for it, the right number of customers, the right volume. Easier than other bigger companies, of course, because the fact that it's going to be much easier for Twilio or companies like HubSpot or any of the really big established companies to have that kind of partnership. But as a startup, there's you can do stuff. You can get to what you want if you just put the effort. So
yeah. And Rasayel, tell us a bit more about the company itself. You and your co-founder Mohammed, you said, right?
Yeah, Mohammed. Yeah.
How many employees are there at the company? Who's working? What does the company look like today?
Right. So we are 19 people today. Mo and I, we go way back. So since we're like 19, 18 years old. But today, the company itself, it's myself and him and 17 other people, full time. We have a few part-time roles here and there, being a startup. And we, in 2022, we actually raised our seed round from investors like Seed Camp, Entre Capital, and Founder Collective, and a few angels. And
how was that process? Tell us a little bit about the investment. Did you mention four separate investors there, or
three VCs? Seed Camp, Entre Capital, and Founder Collective, and a few angels as well. I think it's now that I've seen so much since we raised and since we started the companies. There's a lot of selling, different kinds of selling that you do, right? You sell to your customers, you sell to your employees, you sell to your investors, you sell to so many different kind of entities and kind of So I think now looking at it, I think it was you have a pipeline, you have folks that you admire and respect and really want to work with. You've got to find your way to talk to those folks. And you've got to, and your pipeline is going to start with, I don't know, like 50, 100, and it's going to eventually get to, I don't know, 3, 4. And it's really a lot of work. But there's a formula to it, I think. And that formula, some parts of that formula may seem unfair, or maybe is actually unfair. But I can see clearly now that there's a formula for it. Going out there, seeking the connections first, and really knowing who do you want to target, who do you want to work with. Really important,
Yeah.
right? Doing your
Yeah,
research on them. So
absolutely.
we just spent lots of time on it.
Yeah.
But we are happy with the investors that we have today, and yeah, we love it.
And those investors came in, you said, in 2022, right?
Yeah.
And that's when Rasayel was founded as well. You've been CEO since what, February 2022? I'm assuming then that's when the company was founded. You got investment in the first year,
Right.
and this has enabled you to essentially grow the company into the 19 employees that you are today, right?
Yeah. There was like an overlap between the days of Octopods and the days of Rasayel. So
Got
we
you.
used a lot of the money that we had from Octopods. Well, it's worth saying that we also got a few acquisition offers, and we had to actually, step back and do we sell Octopods and go on and
Yeah.
enjoy that money, or what do we do with this? So in that overlap, we decided to take some of that money, build an MVP, and try to see what this thing actually is. What could
Right.
Rasayel
Right.
be? And try to get at least
Yeah.
a few paying customers before we go and raise funds. For me, it was to prove that we actually can sell this thing, and there's the reality. The reality matches what we have in our minds. So we did that, and then we went and we raised funds in February 2022, and that one was the company started. So yeah.
Fantastic. And what are the different functions in the company today?
Right.
You've got yourself. You've mentioned Mohammed as co-founders. What are the functions that you have? I can imagine that you've got sales and marketing is quite a big function. Tell us a
Right.
little bit about the composition of the company.
Right. So we definitely have the product team. There's engineering and design, and Mo and I we contribute a lot in terms of product itself. Everything that has to do with it. So there's the product team under engineering and design. There's the support team. There's two folks on support at the moment, and they get help from me and Mo as well. There's the sales team. There are three folks in the sales team, and then there's the marketing team. And these are the functions that we have. There's different levels of maturity. Product is probably our biggest and maybe our biggest strength, being product folks and so on. But the the other functionality is now maturing and getting to be better and so on. So yeah.
And what's the product team focusing on at the moment? Any big releases coming up? Anything that you're excited to share?
Yeah, totally. Well, there are a bunch of updates on the WhatsApp platform itself that we're really excited about, and that's something we're working on. I can't yet kind of disclose that, but it's really exciting stuff on the WhatsApp platform itself. We are really going back and challenging our core assumptions around the sales use case itself, the different jobs that people do, and the different ways we can help them through the inbox and bots and campaigns and so on. So we're doing a lot of work on that. We are also supporting more native features on WhatsApp itself, and we're releasing something as well called Sequences, which is like MailChimp but for WhatsApp.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So this is like a feature of WhatsApp that you're going to start utilizing.
Well, this is like our own imagined name. Yeah, but we are building it on top of WhatsApp. Where basically, if you're today designing a campaign over WhatsApp, but not just one-off or a scheduled campaign, what if you want to basically a lead that's not responsive, right? What if you want to send them a sequence of messages to nurture them again and to get them back again? This is what it serves. There's
Fantastic.
more I can talk about, like integrations with CRMs, like Zoho, Pipedrive. We've just released Pipedrive actually, Udo CRM, and hopefully Salesforce. There's a lot of work in the CRM area.
Tell us a little bit more about. I was going to say, but tell us a little bit more about those integrations with the CRMs. I guess there's going to be a lot of value there for companies.
Right. So Rasayel stands as your frontline communication tool. You really are
Yes.
using it every day to send and receive WhatsApp messages. But it's not yet as thick as a CRM. So what we do is that we try to integrate within the customer stack. So in their stack, they would be using a CRM, most likely, in one
Yep.
form or another. And we are trying to make sure that there's a really good bridge between the CRM and our product. And that's really
Yep.
important. Yeah, to exchange
Because
data
of
back and forth
the
and so on.
volume. Yeah, because of the volume of data that exists in those CRMs on that user, and the information attached to that user.
Right.
You mentioned a few different CRMs, Pipedrive among them. Any other CRMs that you're going to be integrating with?
Right. So we have an integration, a very thick integration with HubSpot today.
HubSpot as well. Nice.
HubSpot, yeah. So HubSpot,
Yeah.
Pipedrive, Zoho, Odoo, and later on it will be Salesforce. I hope I'm not missing any other CRM. So yeah, that's what we're working on today. Salesforce is still it's a big one, so we've got to think a little bit more about it. So yeah.
Exciting. And in terms of like the team at Rasayel, how would you say you envisage that kind of the company growing over the coming year or 3 years, say? Are you looking to expand now? Are you in this kind of growth phase?
Yeah. So I think what's really important for us now is two things: revenue, and we fortunately are in a place where we are seeing really meaningful revenue. So revenue, we have a specific revenue goal that we want to hit by the end of this year. And the second thing, which is almost equally important, is that clarity on the jobs the software solves and how much the software is actually loved and used on a daily basis by the customers. Yeah. So at this point, this is really our focus. We can definitely expand and grow in the team members and the count and so on if we want to. But unless we have real good, solid evidence on both sides, we take on the next step. And that next step also could mean expanding the use case a little bit. We're now in the inner circle that we're in now is the sales use case. How do we make sure we help sales teams succeed over WhatsApp, right? What does that actually mean? What are the list of things that we have to be good at to make that happen? So yeah.
Yeah. And what is that list? What do you have to be good at? Because I mean,
Right.
I looked at some of the numbers before, and like this kind of quite significant increase in the number of active businesses using WhatsApp now. The kind of growth of businesses using WhatsApp as a sales platform. So obviously it's effective. The number of messages being sent via the business API, the open rate as well, how effective, like the user engagement. All of these kind of numbers were quite impressive, I would say, in the sense that there's a kind of clear trend, upward trend. I think there was like 200 million, if I remember rightly, in 2023, 200 million active business users. So obviously, it's a very, very popular app. There's a huge pool. I'm not saying that all of those users are kind of potential users for Rasayel, but it kind of serves to illustrate the point that it's a very, very popular app for businesses. So what's the potential you see for Rasayel moving forward?
Right. In my head, it's so clear that this is a platform and there's going to be $1 billion business built on top of this. This happened before countless times on Salesforce, on Microsoft, on Shopify, and all of these different platforms. There's going to be that $1 billion business built on top of it. I'd like to think that we should be the ones. And what that means is that, honing one use case after the other, there's going to be, we've got to expand. There's like a few milestones that we've got to get to. What
Can
does
you
it mean
share any of those milestones?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Or any of those? Yeah.
Right now, we're basically in the stage of product market fit. Again, meaningful revenue and loved, irreplaceable product for sales team. It's very clear what we need to do at this stage. Moving on, the first milestone, the next milestone will be stronger foundations. If you're a business today and you're building your company on top of WhatsApp, we've got your back. We basically have the foundations for you to be successful. Stronger foundations may, a little bit of a note here. WhatsApp is the GUs in the world that use WhatsApp is very dispersed, very different markets, different
Yeah.
approaches. Today we focused a lot on the MENA region. Myself having roots there, and we know a lot about it. So a bunch of our customers from the MENA region and from other different parts of the world. So the next milestone being stronger foundations or building stronger foundations would require us to take a bet on one or two other markets.
Okay.
After that, there's like going to be a milestone of aggressive growth, new products, new markets, new, almost like taking the use case and expanding it even more. And what we think finally, the milestone that will get us to $1 billion business is a WhatsApp powerhouse. Whatever we have seen customers who have many hundreds of agents. WhatsApp is baked inside of their product, so they do everything over WhatsApp, all the way from a lead, all the way to a customer that pays them thousands of dollars per month, or even tens of thousands of dollars per month. They need to have WhatsApp part of the product. What does that mean? So being a WhatsApp powerhouse will get us to $100 million ARR and beyond, and get us to actually what we want to be as a $1 billion company, or at least the first $1 billion company over WhatsApp. So yeah.
Yep. WhatsApp's changing the customer experience, and from lead to customer success as well. And you spoke about the foundations, and also you're in that phase of kind of product market fit in a specific region. Do you see that kind of that foundation being the same no matter what market or region you expand to? Or I mean, I can imagine that use cases within different markets are going to be quite different and diverse, and they are even within the region that you're in now. How does Rasayel kind of become kind of customized to such a diverse group of users? There must be quite a lot of kind of functionality within the product.
Yeah. I think what doesn't change or what won't change are the jobs to be done, the fundamental problems that you solve for your customers. What will change is the layer above, the GTM, your GTM plan. How do we actually take that thing, the solution that I've built, for the problems that I know are patterns and repeat across the whole world, and sell that thing, package and sell that thing. Doing that in Saudi, for example, will be very different than doing that in Argentina, right?
Right. Exactly.
And different than India. So that's the part where we need to look at the dynamics of it and change and adapt to it. Yeah.
And is that you're in that kind of go-to-market where you are now? Are you kind of doing that market research in future markets? Where are those future markets as well?
Right.
You don't have to disclose that information if you don't want to. I'm just intrigued.
It's all good. It's public knowledge, I guess. It's for us. The MENA region is really a big focus due to many reasons, but there are also the bigger teams we are seeing exist in many different markets, even in Europe, where some European companies serve the Latin region and so on. My gut feeling is telling me that the MENA region is where we start, or where we are starting at the moment. India and LATAM would probably be next. I think, and we are seeing signs that the US is picking up, specifically in the lower states, the states where there's more Hispanic community, and they really are used to talking on WhatsApp, and we're seeing the same pattern that we've seen many years ago. The smaller businesses are starting up, and then the bigger businesses, and the bigger and the bigger. When the US comes, this is where the peak is, right? We are not really at the peak. The US and the EU has a lot to catch up to, and it will happen. But when it happens, are we ready to actually?
You need to be positioned, ready to kind of capture, for sure. But in terms of that as well, obviously WhatsApp is this kind of universally used app today, but there are other apps as well, like we were talking about before, and your other businesses that are kind of, let's say, more popular in specific regions. I don't know, for example, Telegram is most popular in Eastern Europe, I believe, or parts of Asia. Do you see potential for Rasayel to expand beyond WhatsApp, which is the app, the tool that's used exclusively today. Is there any thought given to that at the moment, or do you not see the necessity?
Right. We actually connect to. Sorry. We actually connect to channels today like Instagram, Facebook, and a few other channels, but we don't really expose that so much. So
Okay.
if you have the odd Facebook or Instagram page, you can actually connect them in Rasayel today. So we have built built the but there's a massive difference between focusing on WhatsApp at the moment and just really doubling down on it and taking on more and more channels. For example, Telegram, I dare to say it's actually the better platform today. WhatsApp is still catching up. Telegram is a great platform to build on, but the dynamics of it is not clear. They've just started, promoting business to customer communication and business tooling and so on. So time will tell. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, because I know a couple of businesses that have started to kind of look in or like tap into that communication channel as well. I was just very interested to see if that was kind of on the horizon for Rasayel as well. Good. And what are some of the most exciting technological advances today that you think Rasayel can really take advantage of? When I was kind of introducing the company earlier, we spoke about it as this kind of automation platform as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about automation at Rasayel and how that's kind of built into the interface for users to benefit from?
Right. The big elephant in the room is AI, right? LLMs and
right. I just didn't want to say the word.
Right. Because we are maybe still at the very fundamental part of solving the problem. If we're doing support today, that would be a very different story, right? If we're doing support today, for me, it's a no-brainer that you need to be an AI company. Basically, you need to double down on AI at every certain aspect of support. But because we're doing a lot of sales, and sales to be around building relationships, you've got to be strategic in what exactly do you want to, how exactly you want to embed something like LLMs and so on. So we are working on a bunch of features that basically will help you, will assist you. We're even working on one of the things I didn't mention, we're working on a co-pilot for the salesperson. So I come in, I open Rasayel today, and there's like 20 conversations. Out of those, there are a bunch of people who are not a qualified lead. Hey, show me the qualified leads today that you think are the best ones that I should spend my next hour with. So we're doing that. And we're doing things with voice notes as well. So we're hopefully working on something like it will take your voice like 15 seconds. And from that, we will generate voice notes so that when you're away, we can generate these voice notes in your voice and send it to the customer in a way to nurture the customer when you're not working. So there are definitely many avenues that you can do this well for the sales use case. And the problem is capacity. So we're trying to hustle and get those up and running. So
yeah, and a lot of testing, I can imagine, given a lot of these kind of models and use cases a lot of them are pretty advanced and impressive, but still some that are kind of in their infancy and that you need to test a lot before. But super interesting to hear that you're using AI automation in a lot of the support function then, but also parts of the sales function too, but also aware of the fact that you need to kind of keep that personal touch where necessary, right?
Yeah.
In summary, nice.
Just because sales, require relationship building, it's very hard to take that away for bigger transactions. Imagine if you're buying a house, you probably want to get with someone over a call or someone to talk to you back and forth, and there's like an involved transaction, right? This on the far side of the spectrum, but yeah.
Fantastic. And given that you have quite a lot of experience in building your own companies, but also working with building tech products in other companies, among them Intercom, as we spoke about earlier. reflecting on your journey, which we've spoken a bit about here, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and anyone looking to build a tech product?
It's probably going to be a bunch of anecdotes, but I'm going to try anyway.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So I think there are really a few things that stand out, specifically early. We haven't really seen what will happen, later on, and we will have a lot of different bags of learnings. But so far, super important to have relevance to the problem you're solving, because you're going to be with this problem for some time, and you've got to love that problem. Just being obsessed about the problem you're solving,
Yes.
and it materializes in many different ways. You've got to talk to the customers, right? And you're going to talk about that problem with the customers and so on. So being really obsessed about the problem, because it will stick with you. As much as you can, do as much as you can in terms of early validation. And if it's not working out, if it's not showing the signs, you've got to give it up. You've got to give the obsession about, this is my idea and this is what I think will work. This is my version of reality, and so on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying if you really have no clear validation and no clear evidence, just being pragmatic to the top, basically. 3, at one point, you've got to be really good at selling. Selling really to everyone and every different kind of person. Best to be better at this early on. If you're an engineer like myself, I am definitely the furthest person to be a good seller. I'm still not.
But I can imagine you've had to over the years, right? So you've kind of had to throw yourself into that situation. You've had to don many hats throughout the years. That can only be a good thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If we've got to take that interfacing with machine to interfacing with people, and we've got to be good at that, right? Yeah. So learning how to sell early on, learning how to build and how to sell at the same time is I think it's a superpower, honestly, if you can. Fourth, I mean, the probably the last thing is you've got to hire people. So you've got to very much early on decide on the principles that you have or that you believe in that will get you the right kind of people. Principles will help guide you building an interview framework that actually works for you. Hiring is a very, very difficult thing, and you're going to be doing that. At first, I thought I'd be doing that once or twice, but you are doing that continuously. So you've got to really good at that. You've got to decide on your principles and never skip an interview framework, a really good interview framework in place. There are lots of other things, but these are just a few on top of my head.
Thank you. Fantastic, Tarek. I think, is there anything else you'd want to add before we wrap up here? Anything in particular that you'd want to talk about the product, the company, anything?
It's nothing much. I think we've covered a lot. I think it's really good, Lee. I'm all good.
Nice. Well, thank you, Tarek. That wraps up another insightful episode of the Builders podcast. Huge thank you again to Tarek Khalil for joining us today and sharing the journey behind Rasayel, but also talking about your experiences at the previous companies. And it's been a real pleasure having you here and talking about the different companies you've been working at. Really, really interesting to hear. For our listeners, we hope today's conversation really sparked curiosity, gave you some really interesting and valuable insights into the world of building tech products. And we hope that you keep on building and keep on innovating. Thanks very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.